Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you believe it? Yes, yes, it is Agnes Vivarelli. You can probably see her in the corner of my screen because I'm talking and taking it all up, and hers is side by side. But yes, Agnes, how you doing? God, it's been a while. I missed you so much. I'm glad we were able to get together. How's everything?
Yes, everything's good. I had some time with my family, so I was kind of off the radar. So yes, good to be here with you doing what we do, organic nut style.
Organic nuts. That's right. We're certified too, I promise. And it's funny because like we hadn't talked for a while, like I said, and the irony of it all is I had trust, I had faith that things were going to work out to where we could finally get back together. Oddly,
It worked.
that's what we're going to kind of talk about though today too. I think a little bit
Yep.
of faith, a little trust, maybe a little bit of that letting go stuff. I don't know. What do you got? Any thoughts brewing, or how did this pop into your head? Because it was actually Agnes's idea. I had a few others, but how did this pop up?
Well, I was thinking about all the messages and emails I'm getting lately, and the theme of dissatisfaction, which we've talked about before, is coming up. But when working with people or doing, a live Q&A or whatever, or a live YouTube, there is this thing that I keep noticing, which is people don't have trust in the process. They struggle with letting go and surrender. They don't know how to do it. And they have incredible trouble allowing. Now, it's like the two halves of the nut, which I've talked about before. The first half is all the techniques and processes. Oh yeah, that's the nut too. That's my favorite nut.
Thank you. My favorite nut too.
But yeah, the first half of the nut's the easy part. It's learning the techniques and learning how to do, all the things we've talked about a million times on our channel and together. But the second half of the nut is the hardest part. You have to learn to let the thing ripen, hatch in its own time. Like the cycles of nature, when you plant a seed, it's got to grow. It's the same with this. It has a natural cycle. And the cycle of planting, whether you plant something in your mind or you plant something in the ground, it has a cycle and it takes time for it to incubate. So I think people get extremely impatient in the incubation process because they want to see a result, and they want to see a result because they're uncomfortable here now. But if you can kind of, as Abraham Hicks talks about, make peace with where you're at, enjoy the day, let go, relax. The energy of relaxing is a great magnet to attract.
You have brought up so many wonderful points. So I love this. I love it. And I think, again, that's why when we initially were talking about this, it was like, yeah, I've got a few ideas, and I'm flipping through my little notepad, and you're like, well, I got one idea. And I'm like, well, let's hear that first. Let's just start there. That's easy. And it was like a winner. So you brought up a few things. I want to just kind of start grabbing at them because I think your whole point is fantastic. One of the things I question is, why do you think people trust? I think that's really a core. And one of the things that many people need to kind of find a solution to, and maybe need a little help doing that, because I feel like trust comes, well, one, from practice, I guess, two, realizing that this whole process works. I mean, seeing it happen. I don't know. What are some of the things that, because again, I tell people to start with the basics, right? Start with the parking places, the traffic signals and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you build that. It's not even so much trust as you build the understanding that what I focus on, what I think about, what I put energy towards and have feelings about happens in the world. Like you start to establish the causation of physical reality, and you attach it back to the thought you had prior. Once you start doing that a few times, that's where I feel like trust starts to come in, because you realize this is how it works, right? Like if I throw an airplane into the wind and it goes up, okay, and then every time I throw the airplane into the wind and it goes up, then that's how it works.
Yeah.
I don't question it anymore. I don't go, oh, I wonder if I throw this airplane into the wind, what it's going to do. Like, I know what it's going to do. I've done this a bunch of times and I've seen it work.
Yep.
So I'm curious, what are your kind of thoughts on the whole trust factor? What do you think causes some of it with people?
I think if you've grown up with some kind of belief in something, whether you call it God or the universe or source or whatever, even if it's just you've learned about nature and you see how it just unfolds. I mean, I think watching nature is a great way to see how things unfold, and that, you know, an acorn obviously trusts that it's going to grow into a tree, and then it does. So there is I think the people that have a foundation of some kind of belief. Now, for me, I grew up with no belief. We didn't believe in anything until I was kind of 17. So I didn't have to...
Kind of 17?
17, 18.
No, you said kind of. I love it. That's awesome. But yes, sorry.
So, yeah, I do think if you've got a foundation of something, it probably helps. For those of us that did not grow up with a foundation like me, I had to plant my own foundation and make my own connection. Now, it really, I don't think matters what it is or which way around the circle you go, but I think that hugely helps with dissolving, because there's the anxiety that's created from not having trust. That's what I see a lot with people. People have I hear this in pretty much every second email. I've got anxiety, I'm depressed, I'm fearful, you know, those words come up again and again and again. Now,
the doubt they have, right? Like, don't you think that that's kind of, that feels like that's the issue that a lot of people have is, I quote, I trust the process, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing everything right, but then I have doubts throughout the day, and it's like, okay, that's sort of opposite of the trust, and the doubts are really, in all honesty, I think the doubts are what do most of the harm for us. And I'm not trying to tell people to be scared of the doubts, because if you try to resist the doubts, you're going to have more of them. Embrace the doubts, understand why you doubt. But ultimately, doubts are the handbrake, I think, that you call.
But doubts start in the mind. Then they go down into the body and create anxiety. So, which means if you rewind it and come back up, you got to learn to control this. If you can control that, like I would never say that I never get any kind of fear or anxiety. Anxiety really is just fear. So now, but the thing is, I'm much faster now at going, oh, I can feel that. Okay, I need to go and meditate, do yoga, because yoga is great for letting go. Meditation's great for letting go. Going for a run, if that's, you know, your thing. Do something to change what direction you're heading in if you feel that building up. So it really is about doing something. Ho'oponopono is great for that. Affirmations are great for that. Certain things will work on certain days and other things won't. So if you're trying affirmations, they're not working, then you go, okay, let me try something else. And you've kind of got a little toolbox that you go, let me try this, let me try that, let me try that. But I think this is why people smoke a lot, drink a lot, eat a lot, because that anxiety then pushes us towards substances, addictions, things that feel like they relieve that fear or anxiety, and it feels like it helps us to let go. So no wonder addictions are huge, is because it's kind of a false way of getting that relief. And it does work for periods of time until the addiction gets more and more and more. So it's finding other ways of doing it that give you the relief without, what's the word? Making you wake up with a hangover the next day.
Yeah. And the addiction thing, which kind of leads perfectly into one of the other points I think that kind of came up, and I agree. We get this this addictive desire. We just like so many of us are like on instant media or whatever, or social media, and doing all that stuff, and Instagram. I guess that's why I'm mixing terms here, but we get in there and we post our picture and we go back to it, 5 minutes later, and you're like, I got 12 likes, and you go back to it, an hour later, you're like, I got 150 likes. Like, I expect some sort of feedback. I want everybody to tell me how great it is as soon as possible. And I want things to happen in that sort of instant way. And I think addiction comes from that standpoint, because it gives you that quick release. It gives you that dopamine hit, kind of what instant social media does too. It gives you a little dopamine hit when you see all those flags. Oh, yay, look at all these likes. And you get that little excitement trigger inside the brain. And so we get addicted to that response and that quick sort of, I have the ability to put something out there and instantly get a response back.
Yeah.
Problem happens in a lot of cases is with manifestation, it happens at life speed. It doesn't necessarily happen in social media speed.
Yes.
And in social media, one thing that's interesting is, after a few hours or a day or whatever, pretty much it's old news. No one's looking at it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Manifestations are different. After 24 hours, they're almost stronger. They're almost, right? Like it's a building that creates this process that creates physicality. I've thought of it too, where it's like us traveling in space and time and it traveling in space and us finally uniting. I mean, I don't know how it works when it actually materializes into our life, but it's whatever. When it finally, as Goddard says, shows itself to the degree that you wish it to be, right? The fact that you see it in as real a fashion as you require to feel like you've accomplished your manifestation. So I wonder how much of that is causing some anxiety with people, right? Like it didn't instantly get a text message back. I didn't instantly get a phone call back. He didn't instantly show up. He didn't show up tomorrow, the next day. It must not work.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, sometimes maybe people just need to back up a hair, let this unfold. I like to use the analogy. It's like a flower blooming, like let it bloom, let it unfold, let it happen, let the dinner cook. You put a cake in the oven, 10 minutes into the cooking time, it's not a cake yet. It's all the ingredients. It's gonna be one if you let it, but it's not a cake yet. It's just a bunch of goo. So give it 30 friggin' minutes in the oven, then take it out of the oven and enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think this looking for instant results constantly is why there is such a intense high level of dissatisfaction. Once you get to the point where you go, I can wait, it'll happen in the right time. I know I've got this. When you get to the point where you can do the reverse, which is instead of trying to get things fast, you go, you know what? I'm going to slow everything down.
Yeah, you enjoy the ride.
You enjoy the ride, and you really get to the point where you do not experience anxiety very often because you don't need everything now.
You've removed that necessity to have this thing immediately. And I know a lot of people are like, but I want it immediately. And it's like, I get that, but that's actually counterproductive. Wanting something immediately takes away that naturalness that God talks about. It takes away that it's now special. It's on a pedestal. It's unique. It's different than me. It's not something I can hit. It's special. My happiness is based on it. Like all sorts of bad things start to happen when we put the thing or person or whatever in that level of esteem to where they take precedent over your happiness, over your day-to-day, over the fact that you can't even go to the grocery store and not be pissed off at people because you didn't get your text message. So now the guy at Starbucks had to pay the price. The guy at the grocery store had to pay the price. The lady at the cleaners had to pay the price. It's like, come on, man.
You know what, though? I'm glad you brought this up because
it happens.
When I look back at myself about 15, 20 years ago, when I'd learned Neville and I was so fixated on applying it, and I was like intensely working with Neville's, imaginal stuff. Now, when I stand here today and I look back at me then, I can see something I didn't see then, which was instead of being so fixated in the world of Neville and going, I'm going to use my imagination, I'm going to attract, at that point it was attracting a new car, a job I loved, and a specific person. I just got to turn my alarm off. So when I was fixated with that, I didn't see, rather than saying, why is it that I can't get my money, my job, my wonderful relationship with a specific person? I was so fixated with that, it never dawned on me, because I didn't have an aerial view, to ask myself, what is wrong with me that I'm this obsessed about getting stuff? Now I can see that now because I'm much more calm, and I've, the things I wanted, they're now all in place. So now, but there was never a thought to look at myself and go, what is going on with you that you are so hell-bent on? It's almost like it's fine to desire, but there's a fine line between desire and outright obsession to the point where you've lost your mind in the madness of it. And I look back, I was lost in the madness of it, even though I was intently doing the work. I think, okay, I was on, it's a little bit of insanity when I look back at me then. Even though I was practicing Neville, all that stuff, it was still driven by an intense neediness to get money, a relationship, and the job. Now, I can see why it took a little while, because my desire was still heavily coated in need, because I was so dissatisfied and so unhappy, and I didn't trust, and I was trying to force it into being.
And this is your solution, right? That's the thing. It's like we come at it from, here's my savior. I'm going to read this stuff and I'm going to do this law of attraction stuff. And that's going to fix everything.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and this is where people kind of miss the connection, and you obviously get this now, but it's not that you do law of attraction and get stuff. It's that we're always doing law of attraction.
Yes.
And when the stuff's not necessarily working the way we expect it to or want it to or think we're doing, we need to step back and go, what else is going on that I'm not seeing? There's a little more to the picture that we're probably not taking into account. And I will say one thing, and this is nature, human nature. All of us do it. I do it for sure. Everyone does this. And this is one of the biggest mistakes we all make when it comes to assessing what's going on. The first thing we should do whenever you're about to figure out whose fault is it that this is happening, blame yourself first. Always. First, blame yourself. Always first blame yourself. It is almost never someone else's fault.
Yeah.
And that is something that many of us don't get, is we
Love
think
it.
it's something outside of ourselves that's causing this problem to us. No,
Yeah.
it's inside ourselves, projecting this out,
Yeah.
us pushed out, creating this situation so we can experience whatever the heck's pissing us off right now.
Yes. And really,
It's not their fault. They're the actors.
it's only you.
Yes.
That bank account is you. That specific person is you. That ex is you. And what do I mean is how it all shows up around you is the contents of your consciousness. It's what you're conscious of at that current real time.
And people hate to accept that they're wrong. I hate to accept that I'm wrong. Agnes hates to accept that she's wrong. You hate to accept that you're wrong. But we're wrong sometimes, often sometimes.
Confidently wrong, too.
Yes, and it's good to be wrong. Make mistakes and grow from it. But when we finally accept our responsibility of our own lives and realize that this is my creation, this is my consciousness, this is my unfoldment, then we own it finally. And at that point, I really feel like that's kind of when some of the anxiety goes away too, because you almost let go and stop trying to swim so hard and just let the flow take you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm still moving. I'm not having to work, and the flow's groovy. It works. It's happening. I'm seeing it happen on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It really does help me.
And now, that's a whole thing that Abraham Hicks used to say all the time. Yeah. You just let go of the oars. You don't put a motor on the boat and hoon down there, like which we
remember the last time?
That thumbnail was hilarious. Whenever I'm going through my YouTube channel, I see your face. Oh my God, I get the giggles. That's a brilliant.
Love it. Yes, that Esther Hicks is awesome. I mean, the whole idea of trying to go upstream, and I've even heard people make the argument for why it's better to go upstream. And I'm like, I think you're getting the point mixed here, but downstream is where it's at, man. Everything's just flowing. That's like, you go with the flow. When you're going against the flow, just nothing's easy, nothing's right, nothing's working out the way you want. It's just like you're 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards. It's annoying as heck.
Yeah.
Now, this does tie into one of the other things that you sparked at the very, very beginning of this, which is the idea of trouble allowing. And I kind of figured I'd let you expand on it first, and then we'll go. But I think that's something that needs a little more clarification, understanding, people to kind of help them self-assess How do I know that I'm having trouble allowing? What are some of the things you maybe hear about? What are some of the thoughts you have? I don't know. Just
Okay.
let's
There's,
jibba jabba.
I see repeatedly, this is how you know you've got trouble allowing. Okay, Agnes, I'm doing the self-love meditations, I'm doing my affirmations, I'm doing my imaginal scenes, I'm doing my scripting. Now, what else can I do?
Yeah, yeah.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
It's not going
You're
fast
having
enough.
trouble allowing.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not. No, I'm seriously. I'm okay with it. No, you are, because you're like, how can I go faster? How can I go faster?
And
I
that
did this.
whole thing is still being driven by need.
And here's the thing that Goddard talks about that I think, and especially after spending the power of awareness and mainly is for sure, but consciousness.
Yeah.
And when you're coming at something from the, how can I make it go faster? How can I make it go faster? Even though you're doing everything properly,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's like on
Yep.
Facebook when people take pictures. You don't post the crappy picture where the kid had his finger up his nose. That's not the one you post, is it? But that happened. That was one of the pictures.
Yeah.
So again, we got to kind of make sure I think I lost my train of thought, but whatever, wherever I was going with
I'm
that.
still stuck on the visual of the kid with a finger up the nose.
Right?
I like pictures.
They
like
ruin
that.
the kid, or they don't smile. That's the other one they always do for you. But I do think, we have a hard time letting things unfold. And it is
and I'm going to add, especially in the Western world.
Oh gosh, yes.
Because,
gosh, yes.
Like I'm going to say, there are certain countries I've been to, they understand that much better than we do. So I do think that's something that, because, when I interviewed this other guy, he called it the microwave syndrome, where you put it in, you put 30 seconds and you want your thing out in 30 seconds. And this is what we do with contacting someone on a dating app. Especially, I see that a lot. Well, I contacted him about 3 days ago and he hasn't messaged me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing too, is I think people forget that you still need that first date, or talking or something. Like you still have to communicate. You can't do a relationship through text messaging. I don't care how you're brought up. That's great. But words and text messaging are missing all sorts of stuff. At least on a phone call, you can hear their voice, but in person, you can see them. And there's so many aspects that go into relationships. I think some of us get a little hung up a little quickly on, but this picture on Instagram, they were holding an animal and, oh my God, I love animals. So he's my soulmate. Like, and it's wow, that's a lot of leaps you just took, and
really quickly
manifest them. Groovy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Actually, Dan, I want to say something. My most watched video of all time on my YouTube channel is how to get a text message. It's not a self-love meditation.
Are you kidding?
Okay, no, I'm not. Now, why I'm bringing this up is this is the very reason people have trouble. Because if that's my most watched YouTube of all time,
I see what you're saying.
That tells me that you're still trying to get something from somebody. Now, doing 10% of that, of your week, doing that meditation once or twice, okay. But I would love to talk to you one day when my most watched YouTube of all time is a self-love meditation.
Yeah.
Because that would tell me that the collective consciousness has shifted. Because we don't want a text message. We want connection.
Yes.
It's not the text message. It's not the phone call. You want connection with another human being. And if you are wanting that, you need to have a strong self-love, and you need to be radiating it out. I'm going to say it again for the 1,000th time. You have to feel loved to attract it.
It's funny you should say that, because I literally did a live video this morning, and it was about self-love. And it was literally one of the things I brought up, and I think this is hugely important technique that we can use to help assess ourselves, is put ourselves in their shoes. And if we were coming at them the way we are, and we were them, and we were maybe busy, and we had this person that kept texting us, and then they text us again in 15 minutes because we didn't respond, even though I'm in a meeting with my boss and I can't pull my phone out and start texting you. Like, right? Like, there's times where you're like, this is way too much effort, way too much effort. And then you push people away because of that.
Yeah.
And people wonder, why is he ignoring me? Or why is she ignoring me? Well, how hard are you coming at them? right? Like,
Yeah.
how intense are you? I even had one person, and again, you gotta pay attention to the way people are. They're still people. They're responding. But I had one person that had asked me
Yeah.
one time, the person's upset and they told me not to call them and contact them, but I'm living in the end, so I should keep contacting them, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
No.
no, 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 no,
No.
no. Take a
No.
step back, try something different. Your approach is not working right now. Let's give it
No.
a different spin on things. Step back and let them kind of get over this. Maybe
Yeah.
hoponopono, like, but yeah, like how hard are you coming at somebody?
Uh,
You can make things uncomfortable very quickly because
you
in our
can.
minds we've got it played out like I'm already living in the end, but
Mm.
you got to give them a chance to catch up to you.
Exactly. And
They're not
that
in the
is
end yet.
in their time, not in
Yes.
your time. And I
Yes.
find coaching, and I will say this, coaching women are always, and I will use the word always,
Ooh.
trying to get men to go faster. And I see this is like something I've seen for the last 4 or 5 years. And I thought, oh, this is actually a thing. Women want faster, men want slower. And
Yeah, big time.
and yeah, and I think this is a really interesting thing for women to understand about men. Men are not like us,
Oh, we
and
push away
we are not
quickly.
like men.
I do. Someone
Yeah,
starts getting clingy like that, I'm
too
like, done.
quick.
Yeah, ooh, done.
Yeah,
Sorry. I
and
liked you a lot, but not, no.
yeah, and I have to say I've become more like a man over the years, that I don't like people coming at me quickly either, because I go, hang on a minute, why are you jumping on me that fast? Haven't you got your own life to attend to? That means I don't know if I want to
Right.
hang out with you, because I don't want to
Yeah.
be the center of your attention.
Yeah, that's like, I want to be together and
I
hang
want
out.
to
I don't want to be
be,
like this.
yeah.
Oh,
So that's good
you know.
information,
Yeah.
because you're saying it from a man's point of view. I'm saying from a woman's point of view. If
Well,
women
you
can
just told me you're a
allow,
man, so I don't even know. I'm all confused now on
yeah, I'm
this.
a man in a woman's skin suit.
So confused. So confused.
But I think that thing, Dan, is if women can understand that men come to it in their own time, and if they come to it slower, to be more allowing, coming back to that word, be more trusting, be more, a man will come if you don't push and shove and allow him to come to the table when he's ready. You keep yourself busy, do what you're doing. He will find that attractive.
Yeah. Be the thing that they want. I mean, and that's the other thing I think that's frustrating with people just in relationships in general that I've always noticed is people tend to give love and affection. They give it the way they want it back. They
Yes,
don't necessarily give it the way the partner wants it. They don't
that's
necessarily
true.
pay attention to what the partner's doing.
Love
And a lot of times they're
languages.
doing the same thing. A lot of the times they're giving
Yeah,
affection the way they want it back. So you
yeah,
can learn from it, but many of us don't. We don't change our approach. We're like, I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and
yeah.
it's not working. And now I'm
It's not
getting
working.
angry because I keep doing X, Y, and Z and he doesn't give
Yeah,
it back. And it's like,
yeah.
stop what you're doing because that's insanity, doing the same thing over and over, hoping it works out differently.
Yeah.
That's
And Dan,
insane.
there's that book that guy wrote. It fails me who he is now, but it's called The 5 Love Languages. And it talks about how people give love, verbal, through doing things. And honestly, it is such an interesting book, because you see that your person could be giving you a lot of love in the way that they like to give it, but you're not even seeing it because you want to hear it in your way.
Right. You want
It's
the text
fascinating.
message and they're like buying you flowers, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
but I wanted a text message. I
Yeah,
wanted to know what you were doing. It's like, I was
exactly.
buying you flowers.
So it's seeing someone else's love language. And I think that's helped me massively in my relationship now, because my partner is a real giver of time and of doing things for me. Like he'll give me a massage, or for my birthday, he'll remember what I said 6 months ago. And then when it's my birthday, I've forgotten what I said. And then we'll end up at this random place that I mentioned that I thought I might like to go to. That's how he gives love. So, and for me, I know that he loves food. So me cooking a meal is no huge deal. That's not my love language, but he loves that. So I love to cook him a meal because he really appreciates and loves it. And that is love for him. So you're doing these things where you got to really start to observe the person, not how you would like them to accept love, but you give them love the way that they would like to receive it. And that helps relationships hugely.
and you don't try to law of attraction them into the mold you want.
Yes,
You don't
exactly.
do that. That's
No.
first off, if they do that, you'll lose respect for them almost always, because whenever anyone just loses all sense of who they are, we instantly lose interest in them because they're no longer the person that we
Exactly.
fell for. So
Yeah.
yeah, try really hard to understand people are people.
Mm.
You want to be with someone because you want to be in a relationship, and you guys should have differing opinions at
Differences.
times, and you should have things in common, and you should have similar beliefs. Like there should be a lot of things that
Yeah.
work together. And
Okay,
that's
I'm glad you brought this up because this is another thing I've been seeing a lot lately. People saying, I've been intending, because there's a lot of stuff apparently on YouTube about intending from specific people. Now,
okay.
intending in itself is a great thing. You set an intention for something. But what I'm going to say is, what I'm seeing is low grade intending versus high grade intending. What do I mean by that? Low grade intending. I intend for my ex to show up at my doorstep with flowers and surprise me to take me out for dinner. Okay. That to me is low grade intending. Why? Because it's all about you.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can intend that way if that's what you want. And like you were saying before, maybe the person morphs into the person that does that. But what I want to say is, if you're going to have a mature, loving, meaningful relationship, your partner has to get something too. And
So true.
that's where the higher grade intending comes up, which is, I love how we share a wonderful meal together. And then, so there's the part for you. We go and have a drink and watch the football or whatever. That's just an example. If you know that that's something that he would like to do.
Yeah,
So
make it good for both.
yes. And I
That's a
think
great
I'm
idea.
seeing all these emails come through with all this quite self-centered and selfish intending. Now, it's okay because that's where you start. But if you really want to have what I hear a lot of people say is a real meaningful and loving relationship, your partner has to receive something that is meaningful for them.
Sure, for sure.
So I think that's important to notice, because this intending stuff is just getting way out of control.
So I haven't followed that.
Selfishness and self-centeredness, I'm seeing from, that's how I see it.
I get the idea of intention, and I like it. But the one caution I guess it brought to my mind, and this is something I catch myself doing. And again, it's not the words that you say, it's the intentions behind them. So when I say the words, I need to, and what I typically get myself with is I either need to clean, I just skipped a bunch of letters, either I need to clean, or D, but the one I do is I need to go to the gym. That's the one I always say, I need to go to the gym. And then shoot, 24 hours passes and I still haven't gone to the damn gym.
Yes.
And the whole intention, like if I intend to do something, but I'm using it like I need to, like I want to, if you're doing it from that energetic standpoint, you're probably just kicking that can down the road. You keep reaching down to pick it, you kick it further, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so,
but see, Dan,
on that,
on that one, that intention is for you.
True.
For you, intending for you about your health and well-being.
Right.
So that I don't see as a selfish thing, because it's
no, I don't mean in the selfish standpoint. I just mean in the, if you're using intention, like I need to do something. Because it's and that's but from a standpoint, I was certainly and even so, that's how brutal it is, right? I need to keeps me from doing something that helps myself. So that's it's, to your point, it's even stronger at ruining what I'm trying to do. So it's pretty funny.
I really wanted to mention that, because I'm seeing this intending really get like you're saying, I'm just going to get that person to change so they do stuff.
I hear that a lot.
And that's disturbing to me. I think that's okay to start when you first come into the law of attraction, Neville, Abraham, but you get to a point where I think you want to let go of that style of intending, because it is very me focused.
I've also found that as we progress through, so maybe at first you used to manifest text messages, right? And they'd text back, and you did that for a little while. Then all of a sudden it doesn't seem to be working anymore. Sometimes it's like our thing has to evolve, or universe is like, yeah, we're not going to keep doing this. I'm going to prove it by making that person walk by, right? Like at some point you've got to take it to another notch. You've got to try to get in person. You've got to try to get a dinner rather than just focusing on a text message, which is
a text or an Instagram like, or a Facebook something, or a, you know, LinkedIn, whatever social media. Yeah. I mean, think you've got to get
channels like you and I, like, yeah, there's a view count and there's all sorts of analytics, but that's not all of why we do this by any means. We do this because we like doing it. And there seems to be people out there that enjoy it, but
and
you can't get too hung up on the numbers sometimes. That's all.
Look, I don't even look more than once a month because I'm just, you know, doing other stuff purely because I forget. But it's when you and I talk, I think, yeah, I'll go have a look. But I think I'm not a huge numbers person. That's probably why too. But I love the creating and the mechanics of how to work out what I'm hearing in emails repeatedly, and how do we answer that and give that to give people relief. That
turn it around and make it a universal lesson. Yes. I like your little weenie nuggets. What do you call those?
Yeah, weenie nuggets.
Weenie nuggets. I like that. They're very short.
Well, I was on the bus in London, and I saw an ad on the bus for a movie called Frankenweenie.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, I love that. That's such a cool combination of words. Anyway, the word weenie stayed in my head, so that's how it sprouted.
So does weenie have the same connotation in England that it basically does here in the States, like a man's part?
No.
Weenie or a wiener.
So that's probably
you guys
not
have
the most appropriate thing.
Oh, what was the word that we stopped using because it's got a different connotation in England? It was some tech term. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, we had to stop using it because in England it kind of has a bad
sexual or a negative
very
thing.
Bad, like kind of what that Prince dude just stepping down for, like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like, oh wow.
Yeah, you got to be mindful. I mean, weenie to me in Australia or London is like teeny weeny, small,
the little
tiny.
guys, little hot dogs, right? Little hot dogs or sausages.
So I've probably offended the whole USA doing weenie nuggets.
Are those bangers, or is a banger a special kind of weenie? I know we're off topic, but we're at the end of the video. Come on.
Bangers and mash. In Australia, we call them bangers and mash.
What's a banger though? Is that like a hot dog or like a sausage or something?
Sausage, yeah. Okay. Mash, bangers and mash. It's like with gravy. Cooler. Yum.
Way cool. Well, Agnes, thank you for another awesome show. Hopefully, we've managed to help some people.
To totally go off topic as much as possible.
Absolutely. And they're probably starving right now. They're like, dude, I am so eating sausage or bangers or something.
Or go and watch the movie Frankenweenie.
Well, and I'm making turkey right after this. So I got, like literally in 30 minutes, I'm gonna be throwing a turkey in an oven. So yeah, I'm gonna be eating delicious today.
Send me a picture via email, please, of your turkey.
Absolutely.
I love pictures of food. You know that.
Food's always delicious. Well, Agnes, thank you so much. And we'll talk soon and chat after real quick.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody. We'll see you. You know where and you know when.
Bye.